Gotta stay hydrated. Hey everyone, so this video is going to be a book haul, show off kind of thing. I started my senior year of college this week. Yesterday was my first day. Today was kind of like my second day because I'm taking 4 classes this semester and I had the first 2 yesterday and the second 2 today. So it was kind of like 2 first days. That always happens in college because your classes are like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. So you have basically 2 first days on Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, so I thought that I would do a video showing you all the books that are my required reading for this semester because 2 of the classes that I'm taking are a world literature and comparative English something class, so I have a lot of material. Like I said, I started my senior year. This is my 4th year, and I started college with one major. I decided to change it. Then I decided to change it again. So finally, I am now very happy with my major. I am very content. I feel like I'm in the right place. And all the classes that I chose to take this semester are just they're gonna be challenging, but they're going to be fun because I enjoy the subjects, and all the future classes that I take from here on out are gonna be great and exciting probably, and I'm just a nerd. But yeah, so my major is called the Interdisciplinary Studies major. It's kind of like a build your own major, so I pick a certain amount of classes, specified classes from 3 different departments that are available on my campus at my university, and I basically get a degree in 3 different majors. So it's not like I'm taking one entire major. I'm just picking and choosing from 3 different ones. So I am studying in journalism, media studies, English, and history. And so I'm going to graduate with a bachelor's in liberal arts and sciences. And I'm just very excited because these 3 departments are what I love the most. So the classes that I'm taking are this journalism media studies class, but that is the most boring because it is a research class, so it's not going to be super exciting. I mean, honestly, I'm a nerd and this is what I like, so I probably am not going to find it so boring. My teacher, she seemed really cool. She's an older lady, and she's like, yeah, I'm telling you this right now. This is not going to be that exciting. Drink a Red Bull before you come and sit tight and whatever. She's like, but I want you to come to class. So it seems like it's going to be a cool class. Regardless, we didn't even have to pay for our textbook in that class. It was great. She provided a workbook for us. It's going to be fantastic. But yeah, so like I said, I'm taking 4 classes this semester, and the other 3 classes are a world literature class. All of these classes are 400 level and up, so they're all senior level and up. One of them is a world literature class, a children's literature class, and a modern Latin American history class. And I'm so excited. So I have all my books right here, well, my tangible books right here that I'm going to show you and talk about. But yeah, I'm going to talk about my English ones later because Harry Potter is involved. Very excited. My history class, like I said, it's a modern Latin American history class, so it's like everything from the 20th century forward. Today was my first day in that class, and my professor like went through everybody and was like, all right, you all have to give group presentations, so tell me what you want to do. And I chose this like women and social change chapter in one of these books, so I get to present on that. Yeah, so we have to do these like group presentations, and I think it's just one, luckily, because I have to give presentations in every single class. When I was in high school, I was absolutely terrified of public speaking. I would literally start shaking, my voice would shake. I was just a hot mess. And as a freshman at my school, and I think at most schools, you have to take this speech class, and so we have to give 4 speeches. The first one is like a 2-minute one about yourself. The second one is a little bit longer. The third one is a like group one with you and a partner give like a 15-minute long speech, and then the last one is all by yourself and you're just standing up there for like 20 minutes, and it's crazy. But I feel like I, for the most part, overcame my fear of public speaking. I remember the first time that I spoke in that class, and the majority of the people in my class, we were all shaking, we were terrified, and by the end of it, I got an A in the class, and by the last speech, when I was by myself, I was shaking a little tiny bit, but I was relatively confident up there, and I think I did a really good job. I got an A on my final speech. So yeah, I think it just has to do a lot with like self-confidence. I think everybody gets a little bit nervous, especially, well, if you're not like already nervous public speaking. I think it's natural to get nervous, but like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like that class was just a necessary evil to get over my fear, because I used to hate it. I'd still rather not present, just because you can mess up live. But I think they're all group ones I think, and it shouldn't be that bad, so I'm not terrified this semester, which is okay, because out of 3 out of the 4 classes that I'm taking, all of them require a group presentation that are like 20% of our grade. So the group presentation is based off of this book. It is called Problems in Modern Latin American History by James A. Wood. This is one of the required textbooks for that class. There are 2, and I guess like there's like 11 chapters in this or something. And so, like I said, my professor put us in groups today, and there's just a lot of documents and whatnot in here. So I have no idea what's gonna happen yet, because it was our first day. But I guess we're gonna read our chapter and then have a discussion with the class. I don't know. But yeah, then the second main textbook for this class, called Latin America, an Interpretive History 10th edition, and it was very precise on the 10th edition, by Julie A. Chaplin. Yeah, so this is our second textbook. I haven't cracked it open yet. I bought it off Amazon. It wasn't that bad. All of the books that I had to buy for this semester was like under $100, which is insane, because if you're in college, if you've experienced a few semesters of buying books, it's like ridiculously expensive, especially for those stupid classes that require like this $100 textbook because there's a code inside that's supposed to get you some like internet access to something for homework. It's ridiculous. But now for my other 2 like bookish type books classes. The first one is World Literature, and I've already had my first day of that class was yesterday, and I had 3 reading assignments that are due tomorrow. I did one, but I have to read 1.5 that I haven't done tonight. So the very first thing that we read in this class was like 40 pages out of 1001 Nights. And so I was reading it last night, and there was also a video that we had to watch that like kind of complemented the reading, I guess. And it was so fascinating. I put a link in my Twitter if you're curious. Like it was really interesting. They talk about all the adaptations nowadays, even in like the early 20th century, that were created because of 1001 Nights. I read the original story of the 1001 Nights, like what that was all about, and it's a really fascinating story, and like I really liked it. So that was the first one that we had to do. So this class is basically like what my professor was talking about. She's like, we're going to be reading Pericles, that Shakespearean play, and that's going to be the basis of the class. But for every act, my dog scratched me right there. But for every act, we're going to read a certain amount of texts that reflect the like ideas or whatever in whichever act. So we have an entire list here. I'm just going to read them off because this is what we're going to be reading. Pericles, On Powerful Memory, Scheherazade, which was the 1001 Nights, the passage that we read. Oh Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. War, Perisia, Fuente Ovejuna. Oh yeah, I have that right here. Telling is Listening, blah, 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 The Author by Bennett and Royal. A Summary of Monuments by Bennett and Royal. Introduction to Politics by Oh to Vex Me by John Donne. Character, The Tragic, Don Quixote, Desire, Ghost, A Valediction Forbidding Morning, Blood Wedding, like Red Wedding. Side note, I just finished catching up with Game of Thrones season 6 last night. I just started season 7 today. Trying to finish that before school gets too hectic, because then. But yeah, I was reminded why I really like this show, and Dany just remains to be my favorite character. Daenerys with her dragon, Drogon, dude. Yeah, so Blood Wedding, Friendship and Justin, My Lost Poet by Philip Levine, poetry by Federico Garcia Lorca. What is by Philip Levine, the postmodern, ignorant rich online, laughter, constellation of phenomenon, the cadet affair that disappeared, and Russia's superheroes, the campus, the investigation of their life, God, by Ben Royal. What is this a lot by those people? Please tell me by my true name. Selected poetry by Nadia Gwendus, Secrets by Ben Royal, and Fatherland by Yetan Nguyen. So, those are all the books or passages or readings that we're going to read in that book, and I mentioned a couple of them and I actually have them right here. So one of the books that I mentioned was Oh Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century by Timothy Snyder. I rented this from my school's library since it's a little thing. So that's one of them, that Fuente o Vejuna book that I was talking about. It's a play, but so I actually bought it off Amazon. This is actually the English and Spanish edition. So Spanish is on this side, English is on this side. So that's going to be kind of cool to just like look at it. I don't have to look at the Spanish side, but I probably will just because I will be interested. And then last but not least, the book that I'm probably most excited to read is called A Constellation of Vital Phenomena by Anthony Mara. I'm actually, or is it Mara? I don't know. I'm not sure if it's Mara or Mara because of the double R's. But anyways, I've heard of this book before. I've seen the cover. I didn't know what it was about. Apparently it's like some fictional, historical fiction. Yeah, this looks really interesting and fascinating, and I really love historical fiction. So those were all the ones from my one class, my world literature class, and next I'm taking a children's literature class, and I am so excited. So I have 4 of the books right here, 3, most of them, no. So yeah, I have 4 of the books that are required for this class right here. Like I said, it's a children's literature class, so a lot of the books, all of the books that we're reading are children's literature. So this first one is actually huge, and I actually rented this from my bookstore at my school, and it is the Golden Book of Fairy Tales, this giant hunker of a book. My professor was actually telling us a story out of this today. She told us rather than like having us read it, and it was really interesting, and it was kind of, she's like, yeah, that story is kind of like the basis of like a lot of the like fairy tales. So I'm seeing Cinderella, Green Snake, I don't know what that is. Puss in Boots, I'm seeing Sleeping Beauty, I'm seeing Little Red Riding Hood, Urashima and the Turtle. What's that? Yeah, so this is one of the books with all the stories inside that we're going to actually read this semester. I don't think until a little bit later. The first book that we're reading is The Wizard of Oz, and I don't have an actual tangible book of this one, but I got an ebook of it for free. I was able to find one, which was cool. So yeah, The Golden Book of Fairy Tales, number 1, The Wizard of Oz, number 2. Next is The Little Prince. I also don't have a tangible book of this one. I found it online, luckily. That's the next book that we're supposed to be reading. The next, I actually have like half of these. It's The Hobbit. I've never read this book. I've never read any of the Lord of the Rings books. But I've always wanted to, and so I'm excited to finally actually be forced to like read this because I've been wanting to. I bought this for a reason. I wanted to read it, so I'm really happy that I'm gonna get to the semester. The next book is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So guess who I was like internally screaming when I found out that we were going to be able to read this. I have 3 copies of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, but I want to read this version of it because it's not animated, but it's the illustrated edition of the book. So I'm gonna actually get to read it and look at all the beautiful pictures because I have not read this particular book yet. I've read Harry Potter twice in my life. All the rest of them I've only read once. So I've been planning to reread the entire series for a long time. So hopefully this will kind of like get me to start reading the entire trilogy series slowly but surely. And actually, we have to give a group presentation in this class also. And guess what I signed up for? Harry Potter. At least I think I did. I sent an email to my professor saying if I did it correctly because I signed up for it. But yeah, if I get to do a presentation on Harry Potter, like literally, is that not everybody's dream? That might happen. I will update you. But the next book is The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. And this book I've heard about for years. I've never picked it up. I know it's like a children's classic. I was able to find this one online too, so I don't have a tangible copy, but it is on my computer. Last but not least, the actual book that we're going to be reading is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Of course, I read this book. I read this book when I was 15. Yeah, that was 6 years ago. Wow, so it's been a minute since I read this book, and I remember just being so like absolutely sucked in by this series, and I remember just staying up till like 1 o'clock in the morning reading this. As you know, a 15-year-old, I was like, ooh, staying up until 1 a.m. to read a book. I mean, I still do that, but this is actually one of my all-time favorite YA trilogies. This and like Legend are my favorite trilogies of like dystopian kind of trilogies. This one just got me into reading again. I've never stopped loving reading, but you know, everybody has those months, weeks where we just don't ever pick up a book. So when I started reading this, I literally didn't put it down. And I'm a very slow reader and I get sleepy after I read for a while, but this book kept me up. So I'm super excited to like get into it again and just read it again because it's been over 5 years since I've read this book. So yeah, I'm excited to dive right back in. And then the last thing it says is various folklore, so like Grimm fairy tales and all that, depending on what my professor has us read for like extra readings or something. Yeah, so those are all of the books that that are required reading for this semester. I am currently reading The Devil Wears Prada. I told you I'm a slow reader. I am also currently reading a book that an author was very kind enough to send to me. So I'm going to have a review up for that by the end of September. Like I said, I have all these readings to do, so I'm reading everything little by little. So he sent it to me like a month ago, like over a month ago, and I'm keeping him waiting, which I feel really bad. But I will have that up by the end of September. It is called Etika Rise of the Imamba, if you want to look it up. So I am excited to finish it and finally review it. Oh, and then also before I go, like I said, how we were reading 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights. So the YA duology, the Wrath and the Dawn duology, this is this is a thing that exists, and it's a retelling. It's a YA kind of fantasy retelling of the 1001 Nights story. So I was like reading the actual like history, like not history, but the actual book last night, and it was just really cool reading the original text and then thinking back to this one because I haven't read the second part of the duology yet, but I'm actually going to pick this up like now and try to finish this before we finish our section on the Arabian Nights. Alright, so yeah, that is it. That is all that I have for you. I've only put up like maybe 3 book hauls on my channel since I started my channel. So this is gonna be the 4th maybe. Yeah, so that is it. Please leave any comments down below if you are in college, if you are starting college. What's up, freshie? I'm just kidding. But yeah, leave any comments down below. Have you read any of these books? What is your like required reading for this semester? Let me know. What are you reading, period, for fun? Even if you're not in college, like what are you reading regardless? And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments down below and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Whoa. This is very heavy. That's quite the stack now that I'm looking at it like that.